Alright, I'm back. There was a little bit of scuff due to trying to change settings. But this is the Eyewitness Nature Encyclopedia 2.1. Yeah, mostly the scuff was just I wanted to be able to properly see what I was doing with changing around, namely like the resolution of the capture, because this game runs in a very tiny window. Also doesn't seem to have any sound right now. Oh, here we go. We've got something. We've got bird sounds now. So let's jump right into Quizmaster, since that's the only part. So that's probably the only part that has anything that's actual like gameplay. One player, all subjects, 2-minute game, 10 questions, sure. Which, I mean, I did pretty good with life sciences last night. Granted, this is probably going to be a bit different. Which of these animals has 5 pairs of hearts? Earthworm, flatworm, roundworm, or roundworm? Yep, roundworm. Okay, the earthworm has 5 pairs of hearts. What is the ozone? It's gas that forms a protective shield around the Earth. Which of these snakes waits for its prey concealed in muddy water? Could be the olive sea snake? Oh, it's the anaconda. What are mycoplasmas? Small fungi, close relatives of bacteria or constituents of animal cells. It's not small fungi, even though it's got myco, which implies fungi. It's relatives of bacteria. How does a queen bee communicate with her colony? Pheromones. What was a narwhal's tusk? That is an elongated tooth. Where would you find a chanterelle mushroom? That sounds like a coniferous forest? Broadleaf for woodland, and apparently. Where was an air temperature of 59 Celsius, 138 degrees Fahrenheit, recorded? How about the Sahara? Which of these turtles is the longest? Leatherback? Which of these snakes is the world's longest? I mean, python sound. Classification that's just... You know, let's learn about fungi. That sounds very Witherbloom. Oh, I should probably be the correct I should probably be in a better category for this. Just as soon as my keyboard feels like cooperating. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Okay, it's not like fully dead or anything, it's just just being laggy. Right now nobody on Twitch needs to get fussy about me not being in the correct category. So we can learn about lichens in peace.
Lichens.
Scientific name: Mycophyta, from Mike's, fungus, Phycos, alga, or I guess algae, and Phyton, plant. Number of species, approximately 20,000. Size from microscopic to around 1 meter, 3 feet. For some leafy lichens. In its distribution worldwide. Lichens may look like individual plants, but they are in fact symbiotic associations between two organisms, a fungus and a photosynthesizing partner, which is usually a green algae or a cyanobacterium. As such, lichens do not constitute a natural group, but are classified together in one division, largely for the sake of convenience. And so, lichens are extremely tough organisms. They thrive in some of the world's coldest regions, including the Antarctic, Arctic, and high on mountains, well above other types of vegetation. They can tolerate salt spray and desiccation, but they are also common in tropical and temperate areas, as where they are often found growing on rocks and trees. Lichens are the first organisms to colonize bare rock, such as volcanic islands, and play an important role in forming new soils because they help to fragment the rocks to which they cling. Characteristics: the body of a lichen, called the thallus, consists of algal cells distributed among fungal cells. In most lichens, the algal partner belongs to one of a handful of species, so the diversity of lichens in general derives from the diversity of fungi that enter into the association. The fungi involved may be basidiomycetes or deuteromycetes, but the vast majority may belong to the division in Ascomycota. Many of these fungi cannot grow independently except in the laboratory. And occur naturally only in lichens. Conversely, most of the algal partners in lichens are also free-living. Partnership. When there is sufficient moisture present, the algal partner in the lichen can photosynthesize to produce sugars, some of which are absorbed by the associated fungus. In return, the alga is thought to receive water minerals from the fungus, as well as a protection from desiccation. When moisture is lacking, the lichen enters a state of suspended animation, which allows it to survive extreme conditions. The lichen absorbs many of the minerals it requires directly from the air and rainwater. For this reason, lichens are extremely sensitive to atmospheric pollution, particularly the sulfur oxides emitted when fossil fuels are burned. Growth of particular lichens is widely used by ecologists as an indicator of clean air. Most lichens reproduce by a simple fragmentation. A piece of the parent thallus breaks off and becomes established elsewhere. Growth is extremely slow. The diameter of a lichen may increase by less than 2 millimeters, 1/12 of an inch per year. And lifespans may be extremely long. Some large specimens are thought to be several thousand years old.
Molds and relatives.
We're moving on to molds now. Latin name, Zygomycota, from zygon, pear, and myx, fungus. There's a number of species, approximately 600. Size, the sporangia, fruiting bodies of some species may be up to 1 millimeter, 1/25 of an inch in diameter. Mycelia, the filamentous body of the fungi, may spread over many meters. There's feet. Distribution worldwide. Members of the division Zygomycota are distinguished from other fungi by the lack of dividing walls or septa in their hyphae. The filaments that make up the branching body of a fungus. Most species feed off of dead or decaying matter. Other species are parasitic. Black bread mold, or Rhizopus, is a zygomycete. Zygomycete is produced both sexually and asexually. The asexual reproduction then involves the production of sporangiospores, which develop inside reproductive structures. They're called sporangia. Haploid hyphae develop from these spores. Sexual reproduction involves a process called conjugation. During conjugation, special hyphae called gametangia grow towards each other and eventually touch. A swelling called a zygospores containing nuclei from both parents. The nuclei fuse, undergo meiosis, and eventually haploid spores are released, growing into new mycelia. There are 3 main types or classes of zygomycete. The class has Mucorales, as it includes bread mold in a genus called Hylobolus, which grows on horse dung, and whose hyphae can reach lengths of up to about 2 meters, 6 feet. Most of the Mucorales are saprophytic, feeding on dead or decaying matter. The class Entomophthorales are animal parasites. The class has Zoopagales are also parasitic, but prefer protists as host.
Yeasts, truffles, and relatives.
Latin name Ascomycota. From Asco's bladder and makes fungus, approximately 30,000 species. Some are unicellular and microscopic, the yeast. Others have mycelia, filamentous bodies, that may branch off through the soil or other substrate for several meters, feet. Distribution worldwide. Ascomycota is a large and diverse fungal division. Its members are characterized by the production of spores in a sac-like structure called an ascus during sexual reproduction. Each ascus contains 8 or sometimes 4 ascospores. all of which are produced from a single diploid parent cell, held by meiosis and then mitosis. Also called sac fungi, the ascomycetes include red, brown, and green molds that cause food spoilage, including the bread mold Neurospora, powdery mildews, and morels and truffles, many of which are edible. Like other fungi, ascomycetes germinate from spores into a mass or mycelium of thread-like hyphae. The hyphae are divided into separate cells by septa, dividing walls. Although large holes in these septa ensure that the cytoplasm in neighboring cells is continuous. Ascomycetes vary tremendously in form. Unicellular yeast to complex cup fungi, which produce asci in a large cup-shaped fruiting body, called an ascocarp, made of tightly interwoven hyphae. Truffles are the fruiting bodies of tuber melanosporum, a cup fungus that grows underground in woodland. They're considered a delicacy but are extremely hard to find, making them one of the most expensive types of food in the world. Ascomycetes are found in a wide variety of habitats, in water as well as on land, and often form the fungal partner in symbiotic lichens. Many ascomycetes are saprophytes, and play an important role in nutrient cycles by breaking down dead organic matter. Others are parasites such as the powdery mildews, which can do great damage to commercial crops. A few ascomycetes grow symbiotically around the roots of plants, forming a spreading network in the soil called the mycorrhiza, which helps the plant and absorbs nutrients. Asexual reproduction takes place by the production of spores called conidia, which are released from chains surrounding the tips of certain hyphae. Yeast are an exception to this rule because they reproduce asexually by budding. Sexual reproduction takes place between opposite mating types. When the hyphae of different mating types meet, the haploid nuclei of the two individuals enter the same hypha and fuse, forming a diploid zygote. Nucleus which presents only briefly. The zygote nucleus divides by meiosis into 4 haploid cells, which then divide by mitosis to form the 8 haploid ascospores inside an ascus arranged like peas in a pod.
Mushrooms and relatives.
Yeah, I think I will go on another BRB just to get something to drink, because this is a lot of reading. Alright, I'm back, so let's get back into learning about fungi. Latin name, Basidiomycota, from Basidion, small base, and Mike's fungus. Number of species, approximately 25,000. Some mycelia, filamentous bodies, may branch off through the soil or other substrate for several meters. Feet. Like you usually they use that kind of notation to specify, okay, here's a conversion between an imperial and millimetric. This is just... Oh boy, I've been disconnected again. Fantastic! fantastic. I'm just gonna... Oh, and I can't even connect to my... Sammy this time, so... I'm just gonna stop the recording for right now and count this as a BRB. Okay, so we seem to be back after a second spontaneous disconnect. I think if it does that again, I'm just gonna call it quits for the night. So the division between Basidiomycota contains three... The division Basidiomycota contains three groups or classes: Hymenosomycetes, gastromycetes, and teleomycetes. All basidiomycetes bear their reproductive spores on club-shaped structures called basidia. The basidiomycetes include mushrooms, bracket fungi, they have puffballs, smuts, and rusts. They're really calling a mushroom that, huh? Some basidiomycetes are parasitic. Others form important symbiotic associations called mycorrhizae with trees, and shrubs, in which they transfer phosphorus and nitrogen to the plant. Reproductive structure of the basidiomycetes is a basidium. This microscopic structure bears four haploid spores called basidiospores. The basidiospores are produced by the fusion of two nuclei, followed by the form of a cell division called meiosis. The basidia are grouped into the conspicuous fruiting bodies, such as mushrooms and brackets, as from which they are dispersed by the wind. Class Hymenomycetes includes mushrooms and bracket fungi. Class Gastromycetes includes puffballs, and class Teleomycetes includes the rust and smuts. Most basidiomycetes go through three stages of development. A basidiospore germinates and grows into a primary mycelium that is not divided into sections by septa, dividing walls. Eventually, septa form and divide the hyphae into sections, as each containing a single nucleus. Two segments of opposite mating types then fuse and is a secondary mycelium grows from the fused segments. Hence, the secondary mycelium undergoes a third stage of development when new basidiospores are formed. A tertiary mycelium, or fruiting body, grows bearing the new basidiospores. And I get the feeling that I need to adjust my positioning a bit, I think, because I've actually got it set up in OBS to where I can more easily see without having to fully turn my head over to my other monitor what my audio tracking looks like, and it's been a bit all over the place at times, so and if I'm gonna read more about mushrooms and smut, I better get comfortable.
Imperfect fungi.
Latin name Deuteromycota, from deuteros, second, and myx, fungus. Approximately 25,000 species. Size: mycelia, filamentous bodies, may ramify through the soil or other substrate for several meters, feet. Distribution worldwide, also called fungi imperfecti. This division of fungi incorporates a miscellaneous variety of species that seems like a sexual stage in their life cycle, and hence do not fit into the other three fungal divisions. Because its members are not closely related, the Deuteromycota is not a true division and is sometimes called a form class. Deuteromycetes are found in all conceivable habitats. Many grow saprophytically as mold or rotting food. Others are parasites or aids of plants and animals, including humans. Yeah, you too can be the carrier for an imperfect fungi. Like other fungi, Deuteromycetes develop from spores that are called conidia, which germinate to form a massive filaments called hyphae. Many are thought to be ascomycetes or basidiomycetes that lost the ability to produce basidia or asci at some point in their evolution. In some cases, close scrutiny has revealed that a sexual stage does occur in some Deuteromycetes. Then are they Deuteromycetes? Yeah, these species have subsequently been reclassified as either ascomycetes or basidiomycetes. Diseases: pathogenic, disease-carrying, and disease-causing Deuteromycetes include the genus Trichophyton, which causes a number of skin, hair, and nail infections in humans, including infections affecting the feet, athlete's foot, scalp and body, ringworm, and groin. Candida albicans infects mucous membranes in the mouth and vagina, causing a condition called candidiasis thrush. Commercial importance: perhaps the most important Deuteromycetes genus is Penicillium, which is used to produce the antibiotic penicillin. And some species of Penicillium are also used in cheese production. And P. camembert, for example, gives the French cheese camembert its distinctive flavor. Aspergillus soyae is used to make a Chinese condiment soy sauce. By fermentation of a root containing soya beans and wheat. Other Aspergillus species are also used in the commercial production of citric acid.
Lichens.
Okay, we're back to the lichens, so we're done with the fungi. Okay, this is just an index. And this is history. This is options. And this is help, so. Yeah, well, let's take a look at the amazing close-ups.
Amazing close-ups. When viewed up close, living things reveal a fascinating and complex variety of structures, shapes and textures. Sometimes it can even be difficult to distinguish the skin of an animal from the leaf of a plant. Can you identify these amazing close-ups?
Oh, it's a game.
Can you guess what this is?
Yeah, it seems like it might be a birch leaf.
You've picked the wrong one. See if you can guess now.
Skin of a
That's the wrong
chameleon.
answer too. Have a closer look.
Giant
Well done.
lily.
You've guessed correctly. The giant lily grows in flooded areas of Amazonian rainforest. Fully grown plants can exceed 1 meter in diameter and can even support the weight of a person. Can you guess what this is?
The weevil's larvae.
You've picked the wrong one. See if you can guess now.
The
Well done.
diatoms.
You've guessed correctly. Diatoms are a kind of algae that form part of plankton, the foodstuff of many underwater animals. They are characterized by their glass-like cell wall. Can you guess what this is?
That seems like maybe it's rose thorns.
You've picked the wrong one. See if you can guess now.
No, I think that's a praying
That's the wrong
mantis.
answer too. Have a
No?
closer look.
The
Well
snake-headed
done.
katydid.
You've guessed correctly. The spike-headed katydid's plant-like appearance
Oh,
allows it
spike-headed.
to blend in with the vegetation on which it lives, and the spikes discourage potential predators. Can you guess what this is?
That's a
Well
walrus.
done. You've guessed correctly. The walrus inhabits the Arctic seas of Europe, Asia and North America. An adult male walrus exceeds 1 ton in weight and can have tusks up to 1 meter long. Can you guess what this is?
I'm gonna say that's an
Well done.
eel.
You've guessed correctly. The moray eel is found in tropical and subtropical seas. Its eyesight is poor, so it hunts fish with its acute sense of smell. Click next to see your final score.
You know,
Or click the
it seemed
switch
kind
button
of
to hear
wet.
the narration again. Good score, but you can still improve. Can you guess what this is?
That's a red-eyed
Well
tree
done.
frog right there.
You've guessed correctly. The red-eyed tree frog is found in Central America. Tree frogs often adopt this posture, peering over the edge of a leaf or branch to look out for prey and predators. Can you guess what this is?
Could it be the hawthorn shield bug?
You've picked the wrong one. See if
Oh,
you can guess now.
it's an oak leaf.
That's the wrong answer too. Have a closer
No?
look.
Is it hazel
No,
leaf
that's
then?
still wrong. Try again.
Oh, it must be a
Well
butterfly.
done. You've guessed
Yeah.
correctly. This female brimstone butterfly is perfectly camouflaged against some hazel leaves. It lives for up to 1 year, one of the longest lifespans of all butterflies in temperate zones.
Yeah, that was certainly some good camouflage. It fooled me.
Can you guess what this is?
Is it a lung?
You've picked the wrong one. See if you can guess now.
Is it ice
That's
crystals?
the wrong answer too. Have a closer look.
Is it
Well
sea
done.
fan coral?
You've guessed correctly. Though resembling a plant, this fan coral is actually a collection of tiny animals. Corals use stinging cells to catch their food, but they cannot move, so rely on the movement of the water to bring their food to them. Can you guess what this is?
Like a slug to me.
You've picked the wrong one.
No,
See
it's
if
an
you
oak
can guess
happy.
now.
Happy's tongue.
Well done. You've guessed correctly. Found only in the tropical forests of northern Zaire, the okapi resembles a cross between a horse and a zebra, but is in fact a member of the giraffe family. Can you guess what this is?
That looks like a virus.
You've picked the wrong one. See if you can
Oh,
guess now.
maybe it's a pollen grain.
Well done. You've guessed correctly. This image of a pollen grain of the garden hollyhock was taken with a scanning electron microscope. When pollen lands on a flower, it grows a pollen tube down into the flower's ovaries to achieve fertilization. Click Next. Good score, but you can still improve. Can you guess what this is?
I mean, my first thought was Venus flytrap, but that's not it, clearly, because Venus flytrap is not an option.
Well done. You've guessed correctly. These sucker-like feet belong to a peacock caterpillar. It can climb up vertical faces, as on this stem, or even upside down on the underside of leaves. Can you guess what this is?
It's not gonna be fruit bat's wings. This could be caterpillar skin.
You've picked the wrong one. See
Nope.
if you can guess now.
Is it sea
That's
moss?
the wrong answer too. Have a closer look.
Is it a young
No,
willow
that's
tree?
still wrong. Try again. Well done.
It's
You've
leaf
guessed
veins.
correctly. This is the leaf of the green arrow plant. The central vein divides repeatedly into smaller and smaller vessels, which form part of the system that transports food and water throughout the plant. Can you guess what this is?
Is it gonna be human lips?
You've picked the wrong one.
Nope.
See if you can guess now.
Is it the hot
Well
lips
done.
plant?
You've guessed correctly. Hot lips plants are found in the rainforests of Trinidad. They consist of a tiny yellow flower surrounded by red bracts, which resemble lips but are actually modified leaves. Can you guess what this is?
Is the
Well
nettle,
done. You've
nettle
guessed
stinging here?
correctly. This picture of a nettle leaf was taken with a scanning electron microscope. The stinging hair breaks off and sticks into a victim's skin, releasing a nerve transmitter together with histamine, which causes an allergic skin reaction. Can you guess what this is?
Surely it's not just a pineapple. Like, surely not. Like, surely it's gonna be a pineapple fish.
You've picked the wrong one. See if you can guess now.
No, I think it's a
Well
bread
done.
palm.
You've guessed correctly. The bread palm of South Africa gets its name from a starchy pith at the center of its stem, which can be prepared into a bread-like food. Click Next to see your... Good score!
Yeah, back
But you
back
can
to
still improve.
the score 7. You know what? Let's check out some bird calls.
Bird calls. This male great tit is calling to his female partner. Bird calls are short, simple sounds that are produced by both sexes in response to everyday situations. Songs are longer and more complex sounds produced by male birds, usually during the breeding season only. They are generally used to warn away potential rivals and to attract a mate. Many birds produce songs, but they are most elaborate in songbirds.
Eurasian nightjar.
I think
Hunting. Herons and cranes. Herons and cranes belong to two different groups of birds, but they often look alike. Most of them have a long beak and neck, and they stand upright on long legs. Cranes use their beak to probe the ground for food. Herons wade into water and wait for fish and other animals to come their way.
okay, I think I might have broken something.
Herons and
Oh, there we go. We've got the herons and cranes. We've got video.
When sandhill cranes wish to find a partner to mate with, they perform an intricate courtship dance. The dance helps the pair to form a close bond. The cranes leap into the air, flapping their wings and bowing their heads. When one crane starts dancing, its neighbors often join in as well. Ducks, geese, and swans. Compared to many groups of birds, ducks, geese, and swans are easy to recognize. Nearly all have a flattened beak, short legs, and webbed feet. Most are strong flyers. Ducks, geese, and swans spend much of their life on or near water. Collectively, they are often known as waterfowl. Perching birds.
Nice, I found it somewhere where the game will do the narration for me.
Perching birds have 3 toes pointing forwards and 1 backwards. Their toes can fold around twigs and lock in position so they do not fall off. Perching birds are immensely successful and widespread. This is partly due to their ability to perch and partly to the small size of most species, which allows them to feed on seeds and insects, 2 of the world's most abundant kinds of food. Woodpeckers and toucans. These 2 groups of birds look different but are close relatives. They both have feet with 2 toes pointing forwards and 2 pointing backwards. When they fly, they flap their wings in short bursts so that they rise and fall as they move through the air. Cuckoos and relatives. Not all cuckoo species lay their eggs in other birds' nests. In fact, 2/3 of species build nests and rear their own young. Cuckoos have some interesting relatives, such as the Hoatzin, whose young use their tail and clawed wings to help them clamber around in the trees. The colourful forest-dwelling turacos are also related to cuckoos.
Yeah, it's not often that you hear of birds clamoring.
What is a bird? There are about 9,000 species of birds in the world. They live in a wide range of habitats, from deserts to polar ice. Birds are warm-blooded and are the only vertebrates that can fly, apart from bats. All birds have a toothless beak and a body covering of feathers and lay hard-shelled eggs.
The Gouldian finch has lungs that enable it to extract oxygen from the air rapidly and efficiently, allowing it to fly quickly and at high altitudes where the atmosphere contains little oxygen. A bird's heart can also operate extremely rapidly. A hummingbird's heart can beat up to 1,000 times a minute in flight. When a bird eats, it stores food in its crop. The food then moves to its stomach, where it starts to be broken down by acid and enzymes. It then goes into a muscular bag called a gizzard, which grinds up the food, often with the help of stones that the bird swallows.
Flightless birds. Over millions of years, many bird species have lost the ability to fly. Some of these birds are small and live on remote islands where they have few natural enemies. Others, such as ostriches, emus and rheas, are much larger. They live on open plains and escape their enemies by running. Penguins are flightless birds that feed on fish. They have stubby wings that they use as flippers. Birds of prey. These daytime hunters use their long, sharp talons to strike and seize their prey, and a hooked beak to tear up food before swallowing it. Birds of prey include eagles, buzzards, hawks, and vultures. They eat a wide variety of prey, including other birds, mammals, fish, insects, reptiles, and carrion. They have excellent vision and can spot far-off prey and accurately judge long distances.
I mean, we might as well watch the bird of prey video.
The white-tailed sea eagle flies high over the water looking for fish. When it sees one, the bird glides over the water and snatches the fish with its talons. The eagle cannot eat on the wing. Instead, it takes its catch to a perch or to its nest. Owls and nightjars. The main difference between owls and birds of prey is that most owls hunt by night. Their eyes are sensitive and can see clearly even in dim light. Some owls have such good hearing that they can locate prey in complete darkness. Owls are found in all continents except Antarctica. Although not closely related to owls, nightjars are similar in appearance and are also primarily nocturnal hunters.
I believe we're reaching roughly the... This should be roughly the 1 hour mark on this segment.
Game birds and pigeons. Game birds are heavily built birds with strong feet. They usually nest on the ground, and their chicks can feed themselves soon after they hatch. Game birds can fly well, but only for short distances. By contrast, pigeons can fly fast and far. All pigeons have a small head and a streamlined, plump body. They nest above ground, and their young cannot feed themselves when they hatch.
Actually, I guess I could check my recordings. Because, like, I do want to give each of these segments at least 2 hours. Because, you know, that way I can split the remaining streams for this week evenly between the other 4 schools. Okay, so we're actually only at like the 33-minute mark. So we've got ways to go. Yes, I'm gonna say that we probably won't be doing anything else tonight. Especially since, you know, depending on if I have another internet outage, might end up wrapping things up sooner than planned.
Parrots. Most parrots are brightly colored and all have a powerful hooked beak. Their feet have 2 toes that point forwards and 2 that point backwards, giving them a tight grip. Parrots often live in noisy flocks. They are very long-lived and can survive for 50 years or more. Hummingbirds and swifts. These 2 groups of birds are close relatives, but they fly and feed in quite different ways. Hummingbirds hover in front of flowers and sip nectar through their tube-like beak. Swifts speed through the air on knife-like wings, twisting and turning as they snap up their insect prey.
All right, let's see what the hummingbird and swifts video is.
In order to feed on the nectar of flowers, a hummingbird has to hover in mid-air for several seconds at a time. To achieve this, the hummingbird beats its wings very quickly. So quickly, in fact, that individual wing beats cannot be seen. The feeding bird remains rock steady in mid-air before abruptly darting off to feed at another flower. Water birds. Most water birds have a sharp, straight-edged beak that is good for catching fish. Some water birds live close to the shore, but others travel across the oceans and return to land only to breed. Water birds also live inland on ponds, lakes and rivers. Sometimes these freeze over, and many freshwater birds have to spend the winter on the coast or in warmer parts of the world. Herons and cranes. Herons and cranes belong
background
to
herons and cranes.
plants and fungi. Yeasts, truffles and relatives. With about 30,000 species identified so far, this varied group, the Ascomycetes or sac fungi, is the largest in the fungal kingdom. It includes single-celled yeasts and many species with large fruiting bodies, such as morels, truffles and brightly coloured cup fungi. Truffles spend their whole life underground. Their fruiting bodies are highly prized by chefs in Europe, where pigs are specially trained to search them out. Mushrooms and relatives. Mushrooms belong to a group of fungi called the Basidiomycetes, which includes at least 16,000 species. Although their feeding threads or hyphae are microscopic, their fruiting bodies are often large and conspicuous. They include not only mushrooms but also puffballs and bracket fungi, and some important parasites of plants called rusts and smuts.
Okay, so it is pronounced smuts and not like pronounced differently than that.
Lichens. A lichen is a living association between a fungus and an alga. The alga uses sunlight to produce food, some of which is used by the fungus. Lichens grow extremely slowly, but can survive in the most hostile habitats, including deserts and the Antarctic. Many live on rocks and absorb some of the minerals they contain. In the process, they help to break rocks down to form soil.
Fish. Fish.
Mammals.
Animal vision.
Animal vision. We cannot see through the eyes of other animals, but by looking at the structures of their eyes, we can build up an impression of what they see. This anablep, or four-eyed fish, has eyes that are divided into two horizontal sections. This enables it to look out for predators above the water and at the same time find food below the surface. Click on the animals' names to discover different types of vision, each adapted to their particular environment.
Yeah, let's see what things look like from the view of a piranha.
Piranhas are found in dark, murky waters. Only infrared light penetrates these waters, so human vision would be useless. However, the piranha can see this infrared light, allowing it to detect its prey and avoid underwater obstacles.
Oh, hold on. Mantis shrimp is here. How are you going to simulate mantis shrimp vision? Like, the mantis shrimp can see more colors than humans can.
The mantis shrimp has a sensitive strip in each eye that can detect ultraviolet light and the polarization of visible light. Its eyes rotate independently so that the area visible to each strip intersects, locating prey accurately even in murky water.
Yeah, so they can't show the shrimp colors because we don't know what shrimp colors look like. So instead, there's just like a rainbow X.
The pit viper has special pit organs just below its eyes that can detect the body heat given off by prey animals. The heat image formed by the pits enables the snake to hunt with deadly accuracy in complete darkness.
Oh, is that why they're called pit vipers and not that they like live in pits?
Bees cannot see the color red as well as humans, but they can see yellow more clearly, and also ultraviolet, which we cannot see at all. Bee-pollinated flowers often have ultraviolet patterns that guide the bee to the nectar. Vultures and some other birds of prey are thought to have a magnified area in the center of their vision. This allows them to identify and locate prey accurately, even when it is a long distance away.
That's kind of cool, having basically like a little telescope in your eyes.
Hares are prey animals, so they need to be on the constant lookout for predators, such as this fox. Its eyes are located on either side of its head, which gives the hare its protective wide field of view.
Climate. Weather. The Earth's atmosphere is constantly stirred up by heat from the sun. This action causes the movement of enormous masses of air that flow past each other but do not mix together. Air masses containing warm, cold, moist or dry air bring different kinds of weather as they are carried by the wind. The meeting points between air masses are called fronts. Seasons. The seasons change as the Earth moves around the sun. The Earth is tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees to its orbit, making the poles incline towards or away from the sun at different times of the year. Areas near the equator have no real variations in the seasons. This is because the sun is almost directly overhead throughout the year. The Earth has 4 seasons because it stays tilted at the same angle of 23.5 degrees throughout the year as it travels around the sun. In the spring, the northern half or hemisphere of the Earth begins to face towards the sun and the days become warmer. In the summer, the northern hemisphere faces directly towards the sun and receives more direct rays and therefore more heat, and the days are longer. In the autumn, the northern hemisphere starts to face away from the sun and the days become cooler. In the winter, the northern hemisphere faces further away from the sun and receives fewer direct rays and therefore less heat, and the days are shorter. Oceans. Nearly 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered by large oceans and smaller seas. These bodies of water are constantly moving. Warm currents travel away from the equator, and cool currents from near the poles are drawn towards it. The winds that blow over the water carry warm or cool air to the land nearby, so oceans have an important effect on climate. Without winds and currents, the poles would get colder and the tropics hotter. Climatic zones. Everywhere on Earth has a characteristic pattern of weather throughout the year. This pattern, called a climate, has important effects on animal and plant life. A region's climate is shaped by many factors, such as its distance from the sea, winds, and its distance from the equator, which is known as its latitude. Weather. The Earth's atmosphere is constantly
You know what? What's the green book?
The Green Book. Global warming.
Oh. Oh, it's gonna be all stuff that sucks.
Pollution.
Like, oh yeah, global warming, pollution.
Threatened habitats. Wildlife in danger. Threatened habitat. Pollution. Global warming.
Yeah, it's gonna be all downers.
Ecology. The biosphere. Life levels.
Living things can survive only where there's sufficient oxygen, food, and warmth. Most life forms are found on or near the Earth's surface. And I think my microphone might be in the wrong position, or I'm facing the wrong position. I'm just gonna fully pull OBS over onto my main monitor just to see. Yeah, we should be fine. Maybe I need to look into if I get a new microphone, because I can't really afford one right now. I should look into one that has like a wider range so that, you know, I can tilt my head without such a dramatic, without too dramatic of a change in volume. Alright, living things can only survive where there is sufficient oxygen, food, and warmth. Most life forms are found on or near the Earth's surface and in the top 150 meters, 500 feet of the oceans. Elsewhere, conditions are less suitable for life. The upper atmosphere contains too little oxygen for breathing. Mountain peaks are too cold and windy for all but the hardiest of animals. Seas below 1,000 meters, 3,300 feet, are too cold and dark to sustain the algae that provide food for many sea animals near the surface. Some animals, however, are adapted to survive in the harshest of habitats.
Biomes.
Each of Earth's vegetation zones is called a biome. A biome occupies a large area of land and surface and usually occurs on more than one continent. Different biomes are characterized by specific types of vegetation and the animals associated with them. Plants and animals that live in a single biome are adapted to the particular conditions in which they must survive. These adaptations are similar wherever the biome is situated in the world. This makes it possible to group together the lush vegetation and tree-dwelling animals of the hot, wet, to tropical rainforest biomes in South America and Central Africa. The plants and animals of these two entirely separate geographical regions look similar and share many of the same environmental adaptations, even though they may in fact be entirely unrelated.
Ecosystems.
An ecosystem is a living collection of animals, plants, and microorganisms, together with the habitat in which they live. It can be as small as a puddle or as large as an ocean. All the ecosystems in the world together make up the biosphere. Within each ecosystem, the members of each species form groups called populations, and these groups compete with one another for food and shelter. Together, the different populations form a community which interacts with its surroundings. Again, I think I think it's just I have to tilt my head too much to really be able to get a clear view of the readout, so many factors determine which organisms live in an ecosystem. The types of plants that will grow, for example, depend on the temperature, the amount of sunlight, rainfall, nutrients in the soil, competition from other plants, and the probability of being eaten by animals. To make ecosystems easier to study, biologists sometimes treat them as if they were closed off from the world around them. This is however, misleading. Water, energy, and nutrients continually enter and leave the and leave separate ecosystems mainly through sunlight, rain, rivers, and the bodies of living things.
Niches.
A niche describes the role the particular living thing plays within an ecosystem. An organism's niche depends on such factors as its habitat, its adaptations, and structure and behavior, what it eats, and what eats it. If its habitat is thought of as the organism's address, its niche would be its profession. Although two species can share the same habitat, they can never share the same niche. For example, the backswimmer and the water boatman are both aquatic animals that share the same freshwater habitat. They occupy separate niches, however, as their diet is completely different.
Natural cycles.
Which in a way, a draft of Magic the Gathering can be likened to this kind of formation within an ecosystem, in that when you're drafting, you have certain lanes that are open. If you try too hard to move into a lane that somebody else is already in, and if you don't successfully, then you will be competing with that person for cards of a given color, and that fit within a given archetype usually, because not every archetype of every color wants the same cards. Like, in the current, this new draft format of Secrets of Strixhaven, even both Witherbloom and Quandrix want green cards. However, Witherbloom is going to be the main one interested in cards that care about gaining life. But, if you're trying to draft Witherbloom, somebody else is trying to draft Quandrix, and you're just blindly grabbing all of the green cards, somebody's potentially going to get starved of green. It also depends on how much is available. Like, theoretically, two species could feed off of the same food source in an ecosystem, so long as there's enough of that food to go around to support both populations. And the same is true in draft, in that, if you're drafting a particular color, if you get a pack with multiple cards of that color, you're going to have to pass as all but one of those to the rest of the pod.
Water cycle.
All plants and animals are made largely of water, or depend on water for life. Water is also vital for chemical reactions such as photosynthesis. Water continually circulates between the oceans, air and land, and all living things. This process is known as a water cycle.
When seawater is heated by the sun, water vapor evaporates into the atmosphere. Animals lose water to the air when they breathe out or sweat. plants lose water through their leaves. As water vapor rises into the atmosphere, it cools, condenses, and collects into clouds. When winds carry clouds into cooler air, water droplets are released. These fall back to the earth as rain, hail, or snow. Rainwater flows along rivers and back into the sea. Nitrogen cycle.
Nitrogen is an essential component in the structure of all living things. It is found in proteins, means the main structural and chemical building blocks of all organisms, and in DNA molecules, which carry the instructions necessary for all life activities. Although nitrogen makes up almost 80% of the atmosphere, animals and plants cannot use it directly. Bacteria in the soil play a vital role in recycling nitrogen by converting it into a form that can be used by other living things. When plants and animals die, their remains are broken down by soil organisms to form nitrogen compounds. Yeah, just gonna check the audio again, because like I keep thinking it's wonky. But then again, maybe I'm also speaking louder when I'm trying to check it, and that's throwing things off too. Like, I kind of wonder if maybe it might be worthwhile just to set a limiter at whatever volume I want to target, which is usually -6. And just set it up to where no matter what position I'm in, and I will always be at least that volume. These compounds are formed in the air by lightning. They dissolve in rainwater and soak into the soil, which when it rains. Their nitrifying bacteria convert these nitrogen compounds into nitrates, which are taken up by plants through their roots. Animals obtain nitrogen by eating plants. Nitrogen and fixing bacteria extract nitrogen directly from the air to make nitrates. They live on the roots of peas, beans, and some other plants. Denitrifying bacteria reverse this process. They use nitrates for energy and release nitrogen back into the air.
Carbon cycle.
The molecules that make up of all living things are based on the element carbon. The carbon cycle is the constant recycling of these carbon compounds within the natural world. The processes by which plants capture the energy of sunlight and organisms release energy from food are part of the carbon cycle. During photosynthesis, plants extract carbon and carbon dioxide, or CO2, from the air. They use the energy from sunlight to combine carbon dioxide with hydrogen from water molecules, producing energy-rich substances such as sugars. Animals can obtain carbon and energy when they eat plants or other animals.
Carbon is removed from the air by plants when they use carbon dioxide during photosynthesis to make sugars. When animals eat plants, they take in substances containing carbon. Both animals and plants release carbon back into the air in the form of carbon dioxide, a waste product of respiration. Dead animals and plants are decomposed by soil bacteria. As these decomposers respire, they release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere.
Both animals and plants release the energy from food in a process called respiration, which takes place inside cells. This process provides the energy to power all life processes, such as growth and movement. Carbon dioxide is released into the air as a waste product of respiration. When animals and plants die, the remains soon disappear. air because they are broken down by worms, fungi, and bacteria in the soil. These organisms also obtain energy through respiration from the decaying remains on which they feed. Like the plants and animals above ground, they release carbon dioxide into the air.
Oxygen cycle.
Oxygen is essential for most living things. Animals breathe in oxygen from the atmosphere, and plants take it in through their leaves. Both use oxygen during respiration to release the energy from food to power all life activities. Although both plants and animals take in oxygen and all the time, plants use it up only at night. In daylight, photosynthesizing plants release oxygen at a faster rate than they use it up in respiration. The cycling of oxygen between respiration and photosynthesis helps the level of oxygen in the air remain constant, not consistent. You see there I got too loud. I can tell because the indicator went into the red.
During the day, plants release oxygen into the atmosphere as a waste product of photosynthesis. Animals breathe in oxygen and use it to release energy from their food through respiration. Plants also respire and take in oxygen. During the night, plants do not photosynthesize and so do not produce waste oxygen. Instead, they take in the oxygen that they need for respiration from the atmosphere. Energy flow. Producers.
Organisms that can make their own food are called producers or autotrophs, self-feeders. Plants use energy from sunlight to construct complex molecules such as sugars and cellulose. Those from simple molecules in their surroundings. The manufacturing process is called photosynthesis and provides plants with energy and materials for growth. Both algae and some bacteria are also able to make their own food in this way. All other organisms, including animals and fungi, are unable to make their own food and so depend on producers. They eat plants, or animals that eat plants, or they feed on the remains of plants and animals. Producers make food for all the other organisms in an ecosystem, providing the entry point through which the sun's energy flows into the biosphere. Oh, it would probably also help if I didn't have my gain knob on my microphone tuned lower than usual.
Consumers.
Organisms that cannot make their own food are known as consumers, or heterotrophs. They eat other living organisms in order to survive. Primary consumers, such as grasshoppers, eat producers such as green plants. Secondary consumers, such as frogs, eat primary consumers. And tertiary consumers, such as snakes, eat secondary consumers. This link between producers and consumers is called a food chain. In most ecosystems, feeding relationships are more complex than this example and invoke many more organisms.
Decomposers.
Organisms that break down the remains of dead animals and plants are called decomposers or saprotrophs. They play a vital role in ecosystems by releasing nutrients that would otherwise remain trapped inside dead organisms into the surrounding soil and air and water. Once released, the nutrients can be reused by other living things. Detritivores are animals that eat larger pieces of dead remains, including maggots, worms, and slugs. The end stage of the the decomposition process is carried out by bacteria and fungi. They release nutrients in their simplest forms, ready for recycling.
Food webs.
Within any ecosystem, feeding relationships between individual species can be described by a simple pathway that links a producer to a primary consumer, then to a secondary consumer, and so on. This pathway is called a food chain. In most ecosystems, however, there are thousands of different species, most of which feed on or are eaten by many other species. Biologists chart this complex arrangement of interlinked food chains by drawing up a food web. This shows what is eaten by what, and also traces the flow of nutrients and energy from producers to consumers and decomposers. While nutrients are constantly being recycled in an ecosystem, energy is lost at each link in a food web. This is because organisms use up energy either to maintain their body or to make it function. Only the energy in their body, a small portion of the energy taken in as food, is passed on when animals are eaten. In fact, the number of links within any chain in a food web is limited to 5 or 6, because the energy available at the top of the chain becomes scarce. Interesting that specifically 5 or 6, because there's also like a study, I think, that says that everybody like especially things like the internet and social media, like actually the number might be smaller now thanks to the internet and social media, that everybody is within 6 social links of everybody else. So like basically, like if you could, like basically if you pick any person that exists, you can find some way in which you are connected to them within like 6 hops. Granted, somebody 6 degrees away from you is going to be not super close. Because I mean, if they were, they'd be like 1 or 2 degrees. So like, you can't like use like your social influence that far. I wonder, like, what did they classify? Like, like in terms of degrees of social linking, how do they classify like a content creator and a viewer? Like, I guess it's link 1, but with a certain amount of distance that is greater than like true friends or close family members.
Living together. Social animals.
Many species of animals live together in groups because forming a social organization has several advantages. Individuals within the group cooperate with one another to watch out for danger, find and collect food, defend one another against predators, and look after the group's offspring. The simplest type of social group is the family, in which a male and female cooperate to look after their offspring. I mean, I think I mean, I guess that's just the biological definition that they're using here, because, like, once you start getting into, like, the social sciences, the definition of family tends to get a bit broader. Because, you know, if you use this definition to define, like, a social, to define, you know, human families, then that leaves out families with one parent, that technically leaves out families with no offspring. Well, I guess usually that would be more like a couple, or in some cases a polycule, depending on how, or like or I guess in some cases like a group of siblings living together or something. I don't know. Like, I think usually family is specifically one or more parents plus offspring. Although really, like, broadly speaking, family is usually also used to refer to just everyone, yourself and everyone you're related to through blood or marriage. But, you know, once you start throwing in social constructs, that complicates what counts right there, because what social constructs even are in play depends on the culture. Yeah, I guess this is just a simple biological definition, because, you know, we're talking about meerkats here, not human beings with our confirmed complex relationships with other members of our species. Because, like, I mean, a lot of our knowledge of how humans organize with each other and everything, the field of anthropology knows through methods that can't really be used on animals, which is to say, talking to people. Like, until we reach until we see the day that we can have an intelligent conversation with a meerkat, we will never truly 100% know what they've got going on socially. We can only make educated guesses based on observed behavior. Many songbirds form such families. Some animal species form extended families, to which older offspring remain and help to bring up younger offspring. Social insects such as bees, ants, and termites live in the most complex of all non-human social groups. These insect societies are highly organized. Usually they consist of a large number of related sterile workers that feed and defend the colony and look after the young, and a single fertile female, the queen, which produces offspring. In mammals, The number of males and females in the social group and the relationship between them differ from species to species. For example, the closest relative to humans, the chimpanzee, lives in groups of males and females with up to 100 members.
Communication.
Oh, and my mouse is acting up. Always a great sign when my mouse starts doing this. Okay, there was just C also. Animals communicate in order to exchange information with one another. They may do this to warn rival members of their own species. These are potential predators to move away, or to attract a mate in order to breed, or to announce their dominant position within a social group. Communication requires the use of identifiable signals. Some animals use visual signals such as bright body colors and patterns to attract a mate, or to warn predators that they taste unpleasant.
Nesting material is scarce in the frigate bird's coastline habitat. By inflating its red throat pouch and flapping its wings, a male frigate bird warns its neighbors not to steal the precious wood it has gathered. It also uses its throat pouch to attract a mate.
Okay, it's 3 a.m., so I'd say I'm just gonna go till 4 with this. Communication requires the use of signals. Some animals use visual signals such as bright body colors. Yeah, we already read that. Other visual signals include the use of specific body movements, such as when a male crab waves a claw to declare its territory, or a firefly flashes its light to attract a partner. Some animals communicate using chemicals. Queen bees release these chemicals, those called pheromones, to maintain order in their colonies. Skunks use stinking odors to repel predators. Many different animal species use sound to communicate. Symbiosis means living together. It describes a close association between members of two different species, from which both may benefit. For example, aphids are milked by ants for the sugary waste they produce. In turn, the ants protect the aphids from predators and parasites. A symbiotic relationship from which both partners derive benefit is known as mutualism. In contrast, a relationship in which one partner benefits and the other is merely not harmed is called communal. It's called commensalism. And we've got another video. Just as soon as my mouse.
Mucus on the body of this clownfish prevents the anemone's stinging threads from discharging and harming it. This arrangement allows the anemone to feed off any scraps of food that drop from the clownfish's mouth, while the fish can hide from predators among the anemone's threads.
Parasitism.
Parasitism describes a close association between organisms of different species in which one, the parasite, feeds on the other, the host. Ectoparasites live on the surface of their host body. This includes fleas, ticks, and leeches. Endoparasites live inside their host, and those include viruses and bacteria, as well as tapeworms and roundworms. Parasites have special adaptations to their lifestyle. Feeding ticks push their heads into their host skin to avoid being dislodged. Hence why sometimes, if you pluck a tick off your body, the head will still be there. Your tapeworms use hooks and suckers to grip their host's intestine, preventing them from being swept out during digestion. Great, pleasant. I'm not a huge fan of stuff to do with parasites. Like I remember years ago, I would be watching Animal Planet back when it was called Animal Planet, and it was an actually decent channel that wasn't just here's a bunch of humans messing with animals. Like, it actually just showed animals. They'd have this show about like dogs and cats. So there was like, it would go into like different breeds of dogs and cats. Some parts of it would be kind of a bummer because they did talk about like, yeah, here's common health concerns with this breed. Like, I think they did talk about how like sometimes a pug's eyeballs can pop out of the skull because humans have majorly messed up those dogs. Like in a lot of ways, being a pug is to kind of suffer. Because like most other species in general don't have to worry about their eyes spontaneously popping out or having respiratory problems because of a severely truncated severely truncated like nasal system, essentially, because that's how the pugs get the smushed faces. But the worst part is that they seem to love showing, like in the middle of this nice show about like puppies, ads for this other show that they had called Monster Inside Me, complete with graphic footage of like somebody's parasite infection. Because that's what the show is. It's like documentaries about people living with having parasites in their body and the medical process of getting those suckers out. Not pleasant to have your nice show about puppies and kittens be interrupted by that when you're I would say I probably wasn't even a teenager at this point. Finding new hosts is also essential to the parasite's survival. Fleas have long hind legs adapted for leaping long distances to reach a new host. Tapeworms produce large number of eggs to increase the chance of them finding their way inside new hosts. Most parasites live in or on a single species of host organism, but most parasites need 2 or more host species during their life cycle. The tiny parasite that causes malaria, for example, first lives inside a mosquito. When the mosquito feeds, the parasite is injected into the human circulatory system, where feeding on blood, it continues its development. And that's where the ecology book ends. Is on talk about malaria. Which, I mean, like, you know, that's how real life is. Like, they're not, like, these eyewitness things do not seem to sugarcoat anything. After all, I mean, the previous eyewitness things I did back in September, like within a few minutes, of me opening the program just about, he was talking about sexual assault. Oh, this is an ad, okay. Other CD-ROM titles in the Eyewitness Encyclopedia series. Click for more information about the Eyewitness Encyclopedia of Science and the Universe. And it's just always specifically that one, I guess.
Rocky Mountains.
Grizzly bear.
Also known as the Kodiak bear. They're in Alaska. And the brown bear in Europe, up in Asia. The grizzly bear is a large and extremely powerful mammal. It can run up to 50 kilometers per hour, 30 miles per hour. And can kill an animal as big as a moose. Grizzly bears can also move quickly enough to catch salmon. And it's got a huge head and a powerful body.
When they are active during the day, bears are constantly on the lookout for food. With their sensitive nostrils, they sniff the air for the smells of live prey, rotting carcasses, and other food sources. Bears are not afraid of wading in rivers or lakes to look for salmon or other fish. When they spot their prey, they dive into the water, grab the fish with their sharp claws, and then tear off its flesh with their teeth.
Hello? What's this thing? I think.
Pika.
Oh, it's a pika. Pikas are the smallest members of the group of animals that includes rabbits and hares. Unlike their larger relatives, pikas do not have long ears or a long tail. They cannot run fast, but instead move in short jumps. Pikas live in family groups, sheltering in rock crevices or among tree roots. In the late summer, they gather plants and store them for winter.
Rocky Mountain. Mammal.
Okay, that's just mammals. Is there a way to... Oh, there we go. I just was clicking the wrong spot to move the globe.
North American lake.
Let's see what's up with this fish.
Muskellunge.
Like all other members of the pike family, the muskellunge is a solitary aggressive predator. Its head is flattened into a duck-like snout, and it has a large mouth with many sharp teeth. Muskellunge prowl all through the water weeds and is in the clear waters in which they live, ready to strike at anything edible, including birds swimming on the water's surface.
Common loon.
This large fish-eating bird is also known as the Great Northern Diver. Its webbed feet are so far back on its body that it has difficulty moving about on land. It catches its food by diving from the water's surface. Loons have a loud, mournful cry and are often heard long before they are seen.
Beaver builders.
Beavers build dams to create deep water around their lodges and also to give them easy access to the trees on which they feed. To start a dam, they jam branches into the riverbed, and securing them with large stones. And they then add long cross pieces before plugging any gaps with twigs on the upstream side and plastering it with mud. Once a dam has been completed, the beavers maintain it carefully, and they may raise or lower it to suit changing water levels. Speaking of adjusting things to suit something changing, I am still having to adjust my microphone.
Three-spined stickleback.
This small fish often escapes being eaten by stiffening its three spines, which stick in a predator's mouth, forcing it to spit out the stickleback. In the summer, the male develops its breeding colors, red belly and blue back, and performs a courtship dance to lure the female to the nest.
The bottom of a lake is covered with stones, rocks, and small boulders. This rocky landscape provides a habitat for many tiny water-living creatures. Some spend most of their time concealed under rocks, while others swim around the rocks in search of animals or plants to eat.
Great blue heron.
This bird is the largest heron in North America. It hunts by stealth, wading into shallow water, and then remaining absolutely still while it watches for any signs of life. If a fish swims nearby, the heron stabs it with a lightning. Now, here's actually something I can do to test the audio. I can pop out the audio mixer so that I can see it on my screen at all time, on my main monitor at all times, so that I don't have to worry about whether me tilting my head is affecting it. Oh, but wait, it disappears the moment I click back. Yeah, that's not going to work because it disappears under the other screen. Well, the other window, as soon as I click into it. All right, I think I should have a decent position now. Is that chicken or
Moorhen.
close? I mean, it's something classified as a hen, so also known as the common gallinule. Well, this shy bird is found on ponds and marshy grounds in many different parts of the world. It has large feet that spread its weight on swampy ground, and its narrow body is well shaped for squeezing through dense reeds.
Belted kingfisher.
This fast-flying bird is the only kingfisher that lives in North America. It darts above the water and often hovers above it before diving after fish and other animals. The belted kingfisher nests in a burrow and teaches its young to fish by dropping food into the water.
Wood duck.
At the beginning of the 20th century, the wood duck faced extinction. Fortunately, it is now protected, and more than 1 million birds are thought to live in the United States. Unlike most ducks, the wood duck hook nests in trees, and it often uses tree holes more than 9 meters, 30 feet off the ground. Do I not have any options to check out something in like Asia? Yeah, it's all Europe, the Americas, and Oceania. And Africa.
East African
specifically the
savanna.
grasslands, because of course you've got to have a savanna. You're missing quite a few animals if you don't.
Giraffe.
Giraffes are the tallest land animals. Their long neck gives them access to leaves from the top of thorny acacia trees. These are beyond the reach of other browsers. They use their long tongue to grasp those branches, then strip off leaves using their teeth. Giraffes live in troops of up to 12 animals and are active for most of the day, only sheltering from the heat at midday.
Secretary bird.
Unlike nearly all other birds of prey, the secretary bird spends most of its time on the ground. And it feeds on small mammals, insects, and some birds and their eggs. It snaps up small prey in its sharp beak, but it kills larger animals such as snakes by stamping on them.
Lappet-faced vulture.
Also known as the eared vulture. This is one of the largest scavenging birds in Africa. Like its relatives, it has a featherless neck and head, which prevents it from becoming matted with blood while eating. When it finds a carcass, it uses its large size and beak to push other vultures aside.
Cheetah.
With a supple body, muscular shoulders, and long legs, cheetahs are perfectly equipped for fast running. They hunt by sight, stealthily stalking their prey until within striking distance. They catch their victim after a brief high-speed chase, knocking it over and killing it with a bite to the throat. Also, I've got an extra 20 minutes. Okay, so I did 22 minutes of this before sort of this recording session. So I've been doing this for another hour and 34 minutes. So we're just about done, I would say. Like, once this reaches an hour and 38 minutes, we'll have reached the 2-hour mark in total. Like, the video that will be up on YouTube later. Probably, today's Tuesday, so Thursday will be probably a few minutes over 2 hours. So I'd say I'm probably just gonna end stream a little early, especially given that I've been through 2 different disconnections.
Ostrich.
As well as being the world's biggest bird, the ostrich is probably the fastest creature on 2 legs, running at speeds up to 70 kilometers per hour, 43.5 miles per hour. It cannot fly, but escapes from danger by running away using its long and powerful legs. Ostriches spend most of their life in small groups and can live for as long as 50 years. Yeah, let's see about leaving off on gazelles.
Thomson's gazelle.
This slender, fast-running animal is a relative of sheep and cattle. Thomson's gazelles are grazers on the African plains, where they feed in the early morning and late afternoon if threatened by one of their many enemies, which include lions, hyenas, cheetahs, and leopards. These gazelles try and confuse them by springing up and down and with their head and legs held stiffly. You know, there's less than 2 minutes remaining. I'm just gonna call it here. So thank you to everyone who stopped by tonight. Next stream of probably more eyewitness stuff. Actually, no. Well, yeah, I do have an eyewitness thing on history planned for tomorrow, as that's what I have planned for the College of Lorehold. Whereas Silverquill is going to be split between, I believe it's Writing Blaster and Word Muncher. So probably about an hour of each of those. You know, let's leave off on one last thing.
Spotted hyena.
Although dog-like in shape, hyenas are more closely related to cats. Spotted hyenas live in packs and are expert scavengers, consuming parts of dead animals ignored by other meat eaters. They are normally active at night and sleep in burrows during the day. So yeah, tomorrow night's stream is both the next stream in general and will be the next eyewitness thing. Again, and that will be the only other eyewitness thing that I have planned for this week, as I don't have any such thing planned for Prismari or Quandrix. Because, I mean, what would you do for Quandrix? eyewitness math? At least Prismari could have, like, some kind of eyewitness art history or something. My links are in the chat, and if you're watching on YouTube, in the description. Let's find somebody to raid.